We're back on Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery as we take a look at the big spectacle that happened over the weekend in Dallas, Texas. WrestleMania, Saturday and Sunday night. First off, the Hall of Fame ceremony on Friday was magnificent. Undertaker, Steiner Brothers, Sharmell, Vader all went in the Hall of Fame. And I will say that the Undertaker's acceptance and all that. First off, Vince putting him in the Hall of Fame was great to see all of that. But his acceptance was so good. You know, he kind of just he had an earpiece and microphone on where he could just walk around remotely and do it. Normally they're at like a podium and they're standing up and they're talking, you know, but this was him just walking all around, pointing people out, pointing to the Videotron and all this kind of stuff. It was great. I mean, and his speech was over an hour. It was almost an hour and a half just for his speech that he gave. So it was great stuff on Friday night. I wasn't sure what to make of WrestleMania coming into this because there were a couple of matches that I really wanted to see, but by and large, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, ugh. You know, with all due respect, you know, New Day and Sheamus and you know, even the Usos and some of that, you know, that their tag team matchup and all that. Okay, I mean, it's just all kind of stuff that we've seen before. But a couple of the highlights, especially from night number one, I will tell you that Becky and Bianca Belair, and I thought Bianca Belair would win. I predicted that on Friday. That might have been the best actual match that took place over the weekend. They were fantastic. And this is what I talked about with Bianca Belair is why it's good to switch the title away from Becky and Charlotte is because you're trying to get new women in the mix. Bianca's a great performer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. She's got a lot of charisma. She's got a lot of fanfare and all that kind of stuff. Her and Becky were just magnificent in the ring. And that match really stole the show. And Bianca did win. I'm not surprised, but they need to get more women up to the level of Becky and Charlotte and Sasha Banks and beyond. They need more women to get themselves up there because they are really good at the very top. They just don't have enough people that show like they're trying to get the next. I mean, they haven't even started with Rhea Ripley or anything like that. I don't even know. I didn't want to get into all of that because you know that's all just ridiculous. Why she's not the top player out of all of it. I thought the Ronda and Charlotte match was good, not as good as Becky. I'm a little bit surprised that Charlotte kept the title. Again, I think you need to infuse some more blood at the very top. And I know Ronda has been there before, but you got to give some of these other heel girls a chance to try to go after her and get some new blood, and some new opponents, and frankly, some new matchups. So it's not just always Charlotte versus this person or Becky versus this. You need to mix it up to get people to rise up and to get a different level out of all of it. So I thought that match was good. One as good as Becky and Bianca, but I was a little bit surprised that they didn't put the title on Ronda Rousey. Cody Rhodes, I will tell you that I'm not the biggest Cody fan, and I didn't know what to expect. I will tell you and I knew he was going to be there. We all knew. I mean, it wasn't like it was a big mystery that everybody knew he was going to be there. But the presentation and the entrance and the open, it's the different. I mean, I love AEW and I love watching those guys. But when you look at the presentation of how they get a guy to get over, the WWE crushes everybody with it. Their production and entrance and all that, it's so important to set that guy up. And that was a great way to get him out there. And then he pays homage to Dusty at the end of the match and wins. I thought that was a really entertaining match with two of the better in-ring performers out of all of it. And then Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be more cinematic. I didn't think we'd actually get a regular match, but they started off with the KO show. They got into it a little bit. Then KO challenged him to a no-holds-barred match. Now, look, Austin didn't bump at all. He took one bump. That was the suplex on the outside. Other than that, he did all the offense. And Owens was bumping all over the place. He's on the table. He's going through a table. He's this, he's that. He's thrown over the top. He did all the bumping and made Austin look fantastic. And just the crowd and him being back, and you get that vibe. It was unbelievable. And then in night two, boy, I don't even know how to describe all this. Let's take the two. I mean, the Johnny Knoxville Sami Zayn match was as crazy as it could possibly be. All the jackass people there, they brought out a life-size mouse trap and they trapped Sami Zayn, and that's how Johnny Knoxville be. I don't even know how to describe it. Unless you see it, I can't even describe all the chaos that was involved in that. But they had Pat McAfee and oh gosh, now I forget the guy's name, but in Pat McAfee's match, so he gets pinned and they start to exchange words and this, that, and the other. And then Vince gets into the ring. And here's whatever 75-year-old Vince McMahon that comes into the ring and challenges Pat McAfee to a wrestling match. I swear to God, I didn't know. It was like I was in Hot Tub Time Machine going back to 1990. Either I was in a fog and daze because it was late at night, or they put me back in the Hot Tub Time Machine to 1999 because I saw Austin win a match the night before, and now I'm watching Vince wrestle. And Vince wrestles, and they do what they got to do to cheat and all that kind of stuff to get Vince the victory. And then the glass breaks, and here comes Austin, and that pop. And by the way, night 2 starts off with Triple H coming out, and that crowd went ballistic. They hit the Motorhead the Game theme. He comes out to welcome everybody to WrestleMania, does the whole entrance thing. In 25 years, who are going to be those kind? How are you going to get bigger pops than the Undertaker, Triple H, and Stone Cold? I mean, how many guys do they realistically have that can get that kind of emotional reaction out of people? Because Austin comes out and the crowd is even more hyped because you weren't expect. Friday night they expected, or Saturday night, excuse me, they expected him. Sunday night we didn't expect all that. And he comes out and he's handing out stunners, and he goes to drink a beer with Vince, and he gives him a stunner, and he has a beer with McAfee. He gives McAfee a stunner. That's what you want to see, right? But I'm telling you, that whole event with Vince and Austin, it was like 1999 all over again. And those people just sucked it up, and they were just all into it. And then the main event that I really, really, really wanted to see, and I was super excited for it. Thought the build of this thing has been great. Brock and Roman, they come down with the big entrances, and then they get in the ring and they introduce the guys, and Paul grabs the microphone from the announcer. He introduces Roman. All right, they're about to introduce Brock. Brock goes over. He grabs the microphone from the ring announcer and introduces himself. The whole thing was getting good. And they got in the match. And look, those two guys are not going to get into a match and have some 5-star technical. This is not going to be Chris Benoit and Ric Flair on the mat wrestling one another. These are two huge behemoths that beat the living daylights out of everybody. It's Superman punches, it's spears, it's F5s, it's all these kinds of things. It's German super. That's what those guys do. That's what they do. And the match was going along really well, and then the finish kind of came out of nowhere. It just Roman hit a quick spear, 1, 2, 3 pin. Now, there's a lot of reports that Roman separated his shoulder. He got injured in the match, and basically they had to go home. When I say go home, that means that they had to end the match quicker than what they had planned on, just simply because, he was hurt. I mean, he was legitimately hurt out of all of it. I thought it was good. I didn't like the finish. I understand the finish because he got hurt out of all of it, but I wish they could have had a few more minutes and actually built to a little bit better finish. But I got to tell you, the whole weekend exceeded my expectations. And the whole Vince and Austin thing, it just, where are they going to find those guys? And I mean, you can tell me about Randy Orton and Edge and some of those guys. You think they're going to bring out that same kind of emotion that Triple H and Vince and Undertaker and Austin brought out? I don't think it's going to happen. So it will be fascinating, but man, it was such a great trip down memory lane. I really encourage you. It's a long show, 2 4-hour shows. Go check out WrestleMania on the Peacock Network. All right, we will be back with you tomorrow. We want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, review us, give us some likes, be a part of our community, as this is episode 2 that we've launched here today. So we're going to be back with you all week long, back with you tomorrow morning. It is Jon Chuckery, part of Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of the Locked On Sports Atlanta.